to the United States 1992 presidential election in an alternate scenario when the Democrats nominate Jesse Jackson and not Bill Clinton. So let's get right into it. It's 6 p.m. on the Eastern Coast, and at this point we are calling some states. We are calling the state of New Hampshire for Bush. We are calling the state of Massachusetts for Jackson. We are calling the state of Rhode Island for Jackson. New York has gone for Jackson, and Washington, D.C. has gone for Jackson. But let's look at what else changes. So we have Maine is an early lead of about 4 points statewide for Bush. In Maine 1, that's about 6 points, and Maine 2, that's about 2 points. So Bush does lead there. We'll see how that evolves over the course of the night. In Vermont, Jackson is taking an early lead. He's got about 3% of the vote in. Connecticut, Bush leads by about 1 point. And in New Jersey, Bush leads by about 2. Pennsylvania, Jackson's taking the early lead on about 6%, so it'll be interesting to see if that holds up. And in Maryland, he's leading by about 7, which is certainly very interesting. In Delaware, Bush is leading. He's on about a 4-point lead. So there you go at this stage. Jackson does take an early lead, 52-4, although these are like the northeastern liberal states, so expect Bush to catch back up as the evening goes on. And we now fast forward to 7 p.m. on the eastern coast. And first I'll just do updates for the states up here. Maine, still a 3-point lead. It's about 5 points in the first district. In Maine's second district, the lead's actually shrunk down to 1 point. Vermont, the lead is increasing for Jackson. It's about 4 points. Connecticut, Jackson has taken the lead. In New Jersey, Bush's lead has actually shrunk down to about 1 point. And Delaware, that lead has shrunk to about 3 points. But at this point, we are also making 2 big calls. We're calling the state of Pennsylvania for Jackson. He has about a 6-point lead there. And Maryland, we're calling for Jackson. He's got about a 7-point lead there. Meanwhile, we have some new states coming in, and we're able to report numbers. We are calling the state of Wisconsin for Jackson. That is about a 12-point lead. It was the only Midwestern state the Democrats won last time around. The Democrats have also won West Virginia by about 11 points. Indiana, by about 11 points, will go to Bush, whereas Virginia will also go to Bush by about 12. Florida has gone to Bush by about 13 points. South Carolina going to Bush by above 10 points. And Georgia and Alabama both about 11-point lead for Bush. Now we're going to see further counting coming in. So Michigan is an early lead for Bush by about 0.5%. Ohio is just under 2% lead for Bush. Kentucky about 6-point lead. Tennessee about a 5-point lead, both for Bush. North Carolina also about 5 points, Bush is up by. And similar margin in Mississippi. So we see that in the overall counting, Jackson has faltered a bit. Bush is catching up. The gap now, Jackson only leading 101-84. But if we're counting where there are leads, then it would be more like 185-112. So overall, I do think Bush is in the advantage as of right now. And we fast forward the clock to 8 p.m. and we have some calls to make at this hour. We are calling the state of Vermont for Jesse Jackson, where he has about a 4-point lead. We're also calling the state of Illinois for Jesse Jackson. We didn't get votes coming in from theirs earlier. There's a little bit of an issue with the communication, but that's about an 8-point lead that will be going to the Democrats this time around. Delaware has been won by Bush. He leads by about 3 points over there. Meanwhile, we have some new results Sorry, hold on, not quite yet. I need to fill you in on these calls. So, Kentucky, Bush is won by 5. Tennessee, Bush is won by 7. North Carolina, Bush is won by 7. Mississippi, Bush is won by about 6. So, there you go, very close, 127 to 126. Only one electoral vote difference, but we are starting to get in new results from a bunch of other states. So, Minnesota has gone to Jackson with quite a huge lead there. Iowa has also gone to Jackson. We have Missouri is reporting their first numbers, about a 6-point lead. We are calling Nebraska's 3rd district for Bush. Meanwhile, all the other states that just opened their counting, Bush has taken an early lead in. The closest of them are Louisiana, where it's about 2 points, South Dakota, where it's about half a point, Nebraska's first, where it's about half a point. Yeah, those are the closest ones. So just as we have those numbers coming in, Nebraska at large about an 8-point lead, but most of that vote is coming in from rural areas. Meanwhile, just some updates on leads in other races. Ohio, the leads shrunk down to a few thousand votes. In Michigan, Jackson has actually taken the lead. He now leads by about a point. New Jersey, the lead has shrunk down to a few thousand votes. Other than that, in Maine's 2nd district, Jackson has just taken a lead. He leads by about 0.3%. So there you go in the electoral vote race. It's still very tight, 143 to 128. Jackson leads, but if we're counting where states where the candidates are leading, then Bush is ahead. So really, either way you look at it, both of these candidates are in a reasonably strong position. And we now go to 9 p.m. and first I'll update on states where we've had counting going for a while. So, Maine's 1st district, we are calling for George Bush at this point. In New Jersey, it seems Jackson has taken the lead. He's about 0.2 ahead. Ohio, slight Jackson lead at this point. That's about 0.1%. We are at this point going to be also calling some more states. Missouri, about an 8-point lead for Jackson. We're calling out for him. We also are calling a Bush victory in Arkansas, in North Dakota, in Nebraska at large. We're calling a Bush victory in Nebraska's 2nd district, a Bush victory in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. So Texas, big prize there for Bush. So on top of that, we also have new counts coming in from some of the more western states. And what are our calls there? Well, our calls are Idaho, Bush, Wyoming, Bush, Utah, Bush, Nevada, Bush, Arizona, Bush. The first counts coming in from Colorado point to a 1-point lead for Jackson, and New Mexico is about a 3-point lead for Jackson. Montana is a few hundred votes lead for Jackson. That is not really something we can base any calls off of at this stage. So for first time in a night, Bush actually leads the electoral vote count to 11 to 154. However, if we're counting the leads, then Jackson is now in front, so a complete flip from earlier. So overall, it's a very interesting position, as the night carries on. We bring it forward to 10 p.m. now it is on the eastern coast, and we have some more calls we're making. We are calling the state of Maine at large for Jackson. He has about a 2-point lead. We are calling the state of Connecticut. Sorry, no, we called for Maine for Bush. We're calling Connecticut for Jackson. What else is there on here? Louisiana, Jackson is pulled into the lead by a few thousand. South Dakota, Jackson is pulled into the lead. He's about 1% up there. Nebraska's first. He's moved a few hundred ahead. Montana is same as before, so is Colorado and New Mexico, but all of them shifting a little bit more to Jackson. But we do have some results from first few states coming in on the Pacific coast. So Washington, Oregon, and California have all started counting results. Washington is about a 7-point lead. We are now calling the state of Oregon. That's about 11 points. That should be easy for Jackson. And California is starting off with about a 1-point lead for Bush. So there you go. On the current count, Bush is leading 213 to 169, which looks big, but if we're counting leads, then it gets to 267 to 264. Mind you, that's basically because Bush is just leading California, and every other of these states here, which is uncalled, Jackson is leading in. So we'll see how that develops over the course of the night. And we now fast forward to 11 p.m. Well, what's the calls we're going to make now? We are calling Maine's 2nd District for Jackson. We are calling, what are we calling? We're calling Michigan for Jackson as well. Breaking news, Bush has retaken the lead in New Jersey, so that is certainly very good for him. We are seeing also now in Ohio, I think it is. In Ohio, Bush has retaken the lead over there. We have some more votes coming in. I think it's... oh yes, we are now calling New Mexico and we're calling Colorado both for Jackson. And we're going to be calling Hawaii for Jackson and Alaska for Bush as they've finally started counting their results. So here's what it's looking like at the moment. Bush leads 216 to 205. So basically it's going to come down to these uncalled states, which if things stay the way they are now, Bush wins. But I'll show you a little something. California, the lead's only a few thousand votes. If Jackson wins that, he wins the presidency. Nothing else matters. However, if, say, Bush holds that, say Jackson wins all these states he's leading in, and he wins Ohio, and he wins New Jersey, he still doesn't win. So at the end of the day, all the other states are just about margins. California is the state that will decide this election. And sorry we couldn't update for a while, it is now 1 a.m, so what calls are we making at this hour? Well, we are calling Nebraska's 1st District for Jackson. Bush has surged ahead in the final moment of counting in Louisiana. We still haven't called that. We are calling South Dakota for Jackson. We're calling Ohio for Bush. We have called New Jersey for Bush. California, Jackson has taken out a slight lead. He's about 0.8% up as we start to get some more votes in from LA County. We are now calling Washington as well for Jackson. And we've got to 1:27 in the morning. We are calling the state of Louisiana for Bush. He now leads 261 to 220. We've still got Montana and California uncalled. And it is now 4:33 in the morning, the day after the election, and we are now calling Montana for Jesse Jackson. It's basically all down to California. From what I've seen, the lead is about 1.7%, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. We're not expecting any new votes for about an hour. And it is a historical call at 8:17 a.m. in the morning on the day after the election. The next president of the United States will be Jesse Jackson. He has won the state of California and the presidency. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.